Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Fans, yesterday was another great day at Camelback Ranch as the Dodgers took on the Royals. To be honest with you, I can't even remember the final score because I don't even pay attention to who wins or loses these games because there's so many people and so many young prospects and different players that get to play in them. That's really all that matters is the action and the process. Within that action, you got to see Teo Hernandez get a big hit to the opposite field on a double. Hunter Fedua keeps raking. You got to see Max Muncy hit a home run. And you got to see a lot of great prospect action from maybe a bunch of prospects that, unless you follow Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, you definitely had never heard of. And so that was super exciting for me to get to see guys like Jacob Meador, Livan Reynoso, Jose Rodriguez, the K-Man that we've been talking about, T-Boo, for a long time, and Damon Keith and guys like that. It was a lot of fun to get to see those guys on the main field, and it was definitely a lot of fun to see Nick Frasso make his comeback. So we're going to talk all about the great action on the other side. So with that, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it, and let's talk some Dodgers baseball. So this is Nick Frasso. He started the game yesterday, and Nick Frasso is just absolutely a massively talented young man. And the first thing that I wanted you to notice, I'm going to actually back this and put the speed on about a quarter speed here so we can actually just really kind of pay attention. Look right here. Look where he landed. See how far over towards the third base side he is. That's called crossfiring. Whenever you land towards the right-hander's batter's box and then you throw across your body, that's called a crossfire. So number one, I want you to notice is the crossfire of Nick Frasso. That means that he's going to deliver this ball from basically behind a right-hander, and it's going to cut all the way across the zone. So the crossfire is big. Nick Frasso has extension that's around 7 feet, and so he's just handing the ball to home plate. Look at the arm side movement on that pitch. Let me back that up again. Watch how this ball tails back into a righty right here. That tail right there. So you have the crossfire. See how that right-hander, let me back that up one more time. See how the right-hander pulls off because of the crossfire right here. Watch his butt kind of go in the bucket, right? See how his butt's going in the bucket right there already? And then he just gets frozen because he sees that crossfire. It looks like the ball is going to cut all the way across the plate. But instead of cutting across the plate, it actually tails back into him. And that's a professional hitter that is completely frozen there by Nick Frasso. There is that tight slider that he has. You got a good look at it there. So you're talking about a massive amount of crossfire, a massive amount of extension, a young man who hit 101 miles an hour in the last time he came off a major IL stint. He was still at Toronto in his first game back. He actually hit 101 miles an hour. So this is a guy that can bring the velo. He has crossfire. He has tail to arm side movement to his fastball. A really nice slider. That changeup there got away from him. But you can see the profile of his changeup. Has a very good changeup as well. So Nick Frasso, a young man that has always been a big prospect in the Dodgers system. You remember there's a good changeup there that you got to see. The Dodgers got him and a trade for Mitch White, if you'll remember, and just another move to where it just was a situation to where the Dodgers were playing chess once again. So wanted to show you Nick Frasso, super excited about his performance yesterday and what he did for the start. Got his 1 inning in, so we will see how he continues to progress in terms of, there's Nabil Crismont again, in terms of his progress in the Dodgers system as he gets away from that shoulder surgery. Hunter Fedua, how about this young man? He's batting a cool 800 so far in spring training. His OPS is over 2,000, so he has been incredible. I skipped over the Teo Hernandez opposite field double. You know all about Teo Hernandez. You know how good he is. I will say this about Teo as we're looking at Hunter Fedua. I think the one thing that goes kind of underrated about him, I think we all know he's a great player. He can hit home runs. He's a lovable guy. That literally when the Dodgers were thinking about signing him, the first thing I mentioned that would be great about him is that he would be a clubhouse favorite. And that certainly has been the case. So we know all those things about Teo. And again, we're seeing Hunter Fedua here. I don't want to show the Teo video because I'll get tagged with it. So you'll just have to deal with the narrative while you're watching Hunter Fedua on the video. But I think the thing that goes underrated about Teo is, man, several times last year, he shortened up with 2 strikes and just dumped base hits up the middle to the opposite field and just kind of sold out to making contact. That's what he did yesterday. He got a 2-out, 2 RBI base hit to the opposite field. So Teo Hernandez, great job there. But Hunter Fedua, 800 so far in spring training, OPS 2,400. Obviously, that pace is not sustainable. But I say that to say Hunter Fedua is 13 for his last 30. If you go back to the start of 2023, spring training in 2023, he is 13 for 30 in his spring training at bat. So there's really just absolutely not anything else that Hunter Fedua could do to earn major league playing time. He's taken advantage of every opportunity he's been given, and really the only thing he can do at this point is just keep grinding and keep trying to get better and keep trying to make a name for himself. One of the young men that you probably had never heard of, even if you follow the prospects quite a bit, is Livan Reynoso, young man who went to Tennessee Wesleyan and actually was teammates with a guy who played in the system, Liam Doolin, as well. Good right-handed, just tight slider there. He can reach, he's probably 95, 96 in that range. He's approached 100 before, but I'm going to say he's probably sitting in the 94, 95, 96 range. I did not get those numbers yesterday, but a good slider, and he's built like an absolute tank, you can see right there. So one of the fun questions I like to ask at the end of some of my interviews is, of all your teammates, if you had an arm wrestling tournament, who would win? And Livan Reynoso is always the guy that everybody picks as far as the guy that would win a arm wrestling contest, because he is just strong as can possibly be. You can see they're just built like a tank. So it was super exciting to see Livan Reynoso on the main field. Not going to sugarcoat anything. He's not imminent to the major leagues or anything like that. He was the guy that was just in case. And then whenever the Dodgers could not get through whatever inning it was that Reynoso came in, he was the emergency pitcher. He got to pitch. And so it was a lot of fun to get to see him on the main field. Max Muncy also hit a home run yesterday. Not going to cover that because that's video, again, that will get me tagged for copyright. So you've seen Max Muncy. Max Muncy, again, this is Livan Reynoso here. The thing about Max Muncy, he had a 135 WRC plus last year, and over the last 4 years, he's averaged a 124.5 WRC plus. So he has been 25% higher or better than league average offensively, but yet he's been in about the $10 million range in terms of salary. So it's hard to understate just how valuable Max Muncy has been and how great of a value he has been. So Max Muncy hit a home run yesterday. That was a lot of fun to watch. So here's a guy right here, Jose Rodriguez. So first of all, look at those long legs. He is very, very long, very tall. We're going to talk quite a bit about him. And because, see how he turns his butt right there? I'm going to put this on a quarter speed again if it's not already there. Yeah, I can put this on quarter speed so you can see. See how he turns? See how he turns his hips there? And I want to show you this for a specific reason. See how he turns his butt? He turns his back to the hitter. Because of that, if you're the hitter, this is going to look like a crossfire. We mentioned the crossfire with Max or with Nick Frasso right there. So, and he coils so far back behind his back pocket there, right there. You can see this looks like there's no way other than he's going to land to the third base side and create a crossfire situation. So to the hitter, just from a optical illusion perspective, this looks like a crossfire, but look where he actually lands. He actually lands towards the first base side. So he's giving the illusion that he's going to land on the third base side, but then he comes all the way back across, lands on the first base side, and that actually gets him in the position to get that good arm side tail to it that you see right there on that changeup. That's why his changeup is probably his best pitch. His curveball, it gets a lot of swing and miss. His fastball is in the 95, 96 range. He is trying like crazy to increase that velo, although that's not necessarily his number one focus. So here you can see, again, see how that ball jumps back over the plate and it shocks that lefty because it looks like it's going to crossfire and cut, but instead he actually lands to the first base side and it tails. That is an optical illusion to a hitter. That is one of the big reasons why Jose Rodriguez had one of the highest, and then there's that high-riding four-seam fastball that you see. It's about 95, 96. That's why Jose Rodriguez, despite the fact that Ronaldo Ryin and Edgardo Henriquez both hit 104, Jose Rodriguez had the highest swinging strike percentage of any pitcher in the organization, meaning per pitches thrown, he got the most amount of swinging strikes, and mainly because of the reasons why we gave there too. And so a cool story about Jose Rodriguez. Let me put this back on regular speed so you can kind of get a good view of him and make a judgment of your own. A cool story about him. He grew up in Oaxaca, Mexico, and his dad was the general manager of the Guerreros, which is a professional team in Oaxaca. Oaxaca is about an hour and a half south of Mexico City. So Jose got to grow up going to the ballpark and working out with all of the guys on the Guerreros, right? And he actually grew up in an academy, so he is bilingual basically from the start. He speaks perfect English, which is just absolutely awesome for him. It makes the transition just a lot easier for these guys. So anyways, I tell that story, and whenever he actually got his professional career started, he got sent to the DSL. It was the first time he'd ever been away from home, right? And so he gets to the DSL, he starts talking to his pitching coach, and his pitching coach asks him where he's from, and he says, "Hey, coach, I'm from Oaxaca, Mexico." And his pitching coach takes a double take, and he goes, "Are you kidding me? I actually played in Oaxaca on the Guerreros." And at that point, Jose goes, "Okay, now what was your name again?" And the guy told him his name, and at that moment, they exactly both remembered each other. The pitching coach remembered Jose as a little 10-year-old kid running around the park. Jose remembered his pitching coach as this big mammoth professional pitcher, right? So it's amazing how small baseball makes the world look. So I wanted to tell that story about Jose Rodriguez. That's just part of all these guys' journeys. That's the part of it I think I probably enjoy the most, is just the journeys of these guys and just, you know, their path onto where they get to where they are at. Another super impressive performance yesterday. Look at that huge curveball. Jared Karros, look at that big spike curveball. That is absolutely huge. Maybe the best breaking pitch in all. There's that slider too. Maybe the best breaking pitch of any minor league prospect in minor league baseball. And that's not an exaggeration. That slider there is tight. But that spike curveball is just absolutely insane. Good 92 to 94 mile-an-hour fastball. But the thing about him is just advanced sequencing. I mean, this is a guy kind of like we talked about with Chris Campos. We're going to talk about with Jacob Meador. He is 3 or 4 steps ahead of every hitter in setting a hitter up with location. So you see up and in there with the four-seam fastball. There you see up again, and you can bet that he's setting that hitter up there for down and away for that slider. There you go. So advanced sequencing from Jared Karros, not just that, but then again, the ability to execute. See how he's hitting his locations? That pitch is up in the zone just enough. See how then he's hitting that 4 spot, which is to his glove side. So that pitch up in the zone up just enough to make sure it doesn't get hit, but it's not so far up to where a hitter doesn't swing at it. And then he's always got that huge curveball that him and both Peter Hubeck spike. That spike to it makes it gives it a lot more of that 12-6 variety to it. And so a good 92-94 mile-an-hour fastball, an elite spike curveball, a slider that he's able to change shapes, he's able to change locations with it, and a really good changeup. Look at that breaking pitch right there. And also Jared Karros in the offseason, he's got his priorities straight because he went back to UCLA and got his degree. So he actually has a degree from UCLA. This is a guy he's built a bunch of momentum. I understand there's log jams everywhere in terms of pitchers. This is a guy that is ready to make his major league debut. I hope he gets it. He's earned it. He's developed that kind of momentum, and I just hope it doesn't stall because there's no positions available, because he is absolutely ready to go. So Jared Karros, very, very impressive performance. And then this young man, we got to see Jacob Meador. I'm sure kind of like Levon Renault. So I mean, Jacob came up to Tulsa for a couple of games, but he spent most of his time in Great Lakes. I'm sure he was nervous. I'm sure this was a situation to where being on the main field, he was trying to impress everybody. Another guy that I'm going to slow this down so you can see his crossfire as well. And I want to back this up and show you that last pitch right here. See, so look at his hole right here. You can see it already. And if you're a righty, this is a very uncomfortable at bat. Watch where he lands here. And then what I want you to do is I want you to watch the cut of his fastball because he crossfires. See right there, look where he lands, okay? He's landing way over here to the third base side. So that ball is going to cut way across in on a lefty. And if you're a righty, it's very uncomfortable. See how that ball cuts across? That one didn't quite as much, but that ball cuts across the zone. Jacob Meador is a young man that throws a tight little bullet gyro slider as well. And he's a guy that he doesn't get away from his strength. See how he lands the third base side, cut across. Now look at the butt go in the bucket from this hitter. We mentioned that a minute ago. Because Jacob is landing so far to the third base side and cross-firing so much, he starts out behind a right-hander, and it really makes it difficult for a right-hander to do anything other. See, watch the butt go in the bucket right there, right, the butt in the bucket right there. Okay, actually, that was a pitch that the hitter took, not quite as much there, but you can see kind of shocked at the movement. It's very hard to stay on that pitch because of the crossfire. And Jacob's a guy who likes to keep things simplified, meaning he likes to pitch to his strengths. He's advanced in his sequencing, meaning he uses his fastball and slider. Now, here's the one I was talking about, butt in the bucket. Watch there. See how the butt went in the bucket there? And he's pulling off, and yet he's pulling off because the ball started up here, but yet because of the crossfire, it cut across the zone, actually ended up on the outer half. So good crossfire for him. He sticks to his strengths, which is utilizing that crossfire to get that cut with his fastball and then changing shapes with his sliders, making sure that he's always throwing strikes. So Jacob Meador, it was super exciting to see him on the main field yesterday. There's a kind of a cutter, that gyro bullet type cutter coming across the zone there. So it's super exciting to see Jacob Meador. And then Damon Keith. It was exciting to see Damon Keith. Damon Keith hit the 2 walk-offs against the same pitcher last year after he came back off the hamate injury. That pitcher he had the 2 walk-offs actually made the major leagues a month after Keith had the 2 walk-offs. And they actually called, Bruce Howard talked to one of their broadcasters, the Seattle broadcasters, and the Seattle guy said, hey, we pulled this guy up that Damon Keith had 2 home runs off of, and we just want to make sure Damon Keith's not getting called up too. And the Dodgers were thinking about pulling Damon Keith up to face this guy because he had so much success. But hey, this is a guy that you see he's built like a tank, kind of like Zaire Hope, kind of like Livan Reynoso we talked about a minute ago. But he is also one of the fastest young men in the organization. So he's one of the strongest and one of the fastest. Lots of lift to his swing, so there is some swing and miss to his profile. And so it's going to come down to, for Damon Keith, it's going to come down to how much he can consistently make contact. Because when he does, his exit velos, no doubt, are very, very, very impressive. Matter of fact, I have a video of him. He got jammed on an inside pitch and inside outed one 106 miles an hour, which was very impressive. And then Ronan Kopp got to pitch. That was a lot of fun to see Ronan Kopp pitch. This is a young man that has a world of potential, a world of loud tools, no doubt about it. Came out, he's been fighting a little bit of injury. He came back, I think, like in about June. Don't exactly quote me on that last year. But a young man that has a big fastball, a nice slider. Used to be look at that breaking pitch there. Used to be a starter. They transition. See there again. It's just very tough. As a lefty, it's just a very difficult at bat because he hides the ball so well and he's getting down the mound so far. I don't know his exact extension numbers. I wouldn't imagine they're just as incredible as you think, because you can see his stride's not just overly long there, but still being as tall as he is, I would imagine his extension numbers still are pretty good. I'll get them eventually someday. I'll be interested to see what they are. But a guy that's thrown, that's touched 101 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour in a bullpen in a spring training game. Hasn't touched 100 in a game, but it was in a spring training game. Had a really nice outing yesterday, Ronan Kopp did. It was fun to watch him on the main field. Going to be very point blank. It's going to come down to whether he can control and command the zone. Control, again, being just throwing strikes. He can beat major league hitters right now just by throwing strikes. If he also then commands the zone, meaning locating his strikes in the right locations, not just throwing strikes, but actually throwing strikes to the locations you're trying to hit. If he also commands the zone, then at that point, he becomes really, I'm just going to say it point blank, he becomes an elite left-handed pitching prospect. So that's the ceiling. That's the game for Ronan Kopp. He's going to be a good major leaguer if he just controls the zone. He has the chance to be borderline elite, if not straight up elite, if he learns how to consistently command the zone. And then Zaire Hope, kapow. Opposite field home run. We've seen this one wasn't a home run here, but we saw opposite field home run yesterday from Zaire Hope. I'm not going to play the video of it. Look at that power. He just has that beautiful, sweet swing because, again, it'll get tagged. But Zaire Hope, this is a young man that has a world of potential, a world of talent. He's built like a tank, just like Damon Keith, built like a tank, but still a great athlete. We saw him make the two great catches the other day against the left field wall. And then yesterday we saw the opposite field home run. Sometimes you don't get the best camera angles at the single A level, so you'll have to deal with that. And then look at that opposite field. We saw that yesterday, so you've seen a couple of opposite field hits in this video, and then you also saw a home run. So it was super exciting to see Zaire Hope, a young man who has climbed up the prospects ranks very fast, came over in the Michael Busch and Yency Almonte trade. So that was exciting. So, hey, that's our show for today. We might and might not have a live show tonight. I've got a lot of things to do. Just going to be depending on how much time I have. So just keep your notifications on. And if we have a live show, we do. If not, then we'll make up for it tomorrow. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. I'm Casey Porter. It's a great day to be a Dodger.